Well, hi everybody, we're going to go ahead and get started here. In just a second here, we're going to give you a chance to be seated. So how's everybody doing? Did everybody get some food? No? Yeah, well, okay, well, there's a lot of food there, and the food has to all be gone when we leave, right? So, all the hungry students, after you, if you're one of the team members, you can have, you probably would rather eat after you compete. Well, I'm so happy to be here tonight. I'm Sandy Richtermeyer, and I'm Dean of the Manning School of Business. And I can't believe that we have rescheduled this event twice, right? That's pretty, I think that's a record for us, but what a great turnout we've had, and I know that and a lot of you really shuffled things around to make sure that we were able to meet tonight. So that's a rare thing, but thank goodness we don't have the snow, and we have our wonderful judges here. So just going to kick things off tonight with a few comments and remarks to make sure everybody knows who's all in the room here. So this is actually the 7th DCU Manning School of Business Innovation Contest, number 7. So lucky number 7, we got rescheduled, right? But it's good. The top finalist team will move straight to the DifferenceMaker preliminary pitch-off in April. So before you know it, it's going to be April, it'll be spring weather. We hope we don't have to reschedule that one, right? I handed out a bunch of Manning School of Business gloves today. We had an event just an hour ago over at the ICC for first-year students who made the Dean's List. It was an event. We handed gloves out, and I said, I hope you only need these for a few more weeks. we we're all ready for the spring weather. Okay, so also the $50,000 Idea Challenge applications close tomorrow, February 12th. You guys aware of that? It's in the newsletter. How many of you read the Manning School of Business newsletter? Every week it comes out. Scroll through it. All the stuff's in there. Okay, and so please apply, and if you have any questions, you can always ask Holly. All right. So I have, before I introduce our judges, I have several people here in the audience that I want to introduce and give some thank yous. I'm going to start with some of the faculty that are here tonight. So we have, I'm going to look around the room. We have some of the DifferenceMaker fellows from other colleges. So we have, they're very fortunate to have Kathy Levy, and she is the DifferenceMaker faculty fellow. She's a criminal justice faculty member, and she's for the FOSS. So there's 2 faculty fellows in FOSS. Neil Shortland is the other one, and we're so happy to have Kathy here with us tonight. We also have Tom Wilkes. He's here from the Kennedy College of Sciences, computer science faculty member, and so he serves in that role as well. Welcome, Tom. And then from the Manning School of Business, we have Professor Mike Sjugstad, who's here tonight, and he does so much with DifferenceMakers and all of our entrepreneurial events, and so thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you for all you do for the students. It's great. We also have 2 champions of our students' initiatives, especially champions of experiential learning, and we have Kevin Willett. So go ahead and wave, Kevin. Kevin teaches our intro to business courses and gets our students all inspired and ready to go for business, right? And David Valaro, who teaches also our first-year courses, and we're so excited, because I don't know if you've all heard, we're starting our student-run business program, and David is one of the faculty, co-faculty members that are teaching the student-run business, and that's a Friday night class, so that's pure dedication, right? Teaching those Friday night classes. And then looking around the room, we also have Mr. Steve Rogers. He's in the back, and he's our Director of Development for the Manning School of Business. And next to Steve, we have Mr. Jim Regan, who is on the Manning School of Business Advisory Board. He's the CEO, so hopefully you've all had a chance to meet him. And he does so much for the university, the college. He's a Manning School of Business alum. And throughout the evening, we'll share all kinds of fun Jim stories. How's that sound, Jim? All kinds of good ideas that we get from Jim and serving in his role and really being the lead behind the relationship with DCU. And next to Jim is Tomas Demura. And Tomas is, many of you met him, I'm sure, last year as well. You have a very cool title, Innovations Manager for DCU, which is really cool. And I'm sure the students, hopefully you get to network with Tomas and hear about some of the things that he does in his job, because I know many students that would be very interested in a position like yours. You get to do all kinds of cool things, right? So that's great. So thank you to DCU for all of your support. And I think I'm just looking around the room. And of course we have, who's behind all of this? Holly Butler, right? Holly Butler is keeping everybody together. Let's give her a big round of applause. And Ed Brennan, who's I'm sure taking your picture by now. Ed and I just got back from the other event. We were there together. We're keeping Ed on full force today with Manny School of Business stuff. But everybody wants Ed to take their picture. This is where all of our cool pictures in the building and everything else come up. So just looking around, I want to make sure I think I've got everybody covered here. I hope so. But I'm so excited about our team of judges tonight. And thank you so much all for all being here tonight. I'm going to start out with, I'll start here on my right, on your left, my right. So we have Nancy D'Amico, and she is the Senior Vice President of Technology and Innovation at DCU. So welcome, Nancy. Thank you for being here. Let's give all of our Next to Nancy, we have Vasilios Roussos, and he is also Director of Innovation at DCU. So all these innovation titles. This is the most innovative organization, right? So welcome, thank you for being here. Okay, and next to Vasilios, we have Steve Schultz, and he is an alum, a Manny School of Business alum, and he is also a Kennedy College of Sciences alum. So you're a double Riverhawk, is that right? Do we have that right? You hope so? No?
That might be renamed engineering. Is it
Okay.
now Kennedy School of Science?
Oh, no, you're engineering. So
Yeah.
we have to talk to those alumni relations folks and we'll get that right. So that's why you're getting all the solicitations from the Kennedy College of Sciences, right? No. That was just a joke. Okay. So anyway, so Steve is the Chief Evangelist and Vice President of Franchise Development for Supporting Strategies. Welcome, Steve. And next to Steve, we have Alana Tobin. She's a Manny School of Business alum, and she is the Senior Director of Shared Services at Hologic, and I know we have a lot of accounting and finance students here tonight, so I'm sure they would love to learn from your experiences as well. So welcome, Alana. And our judges will have a fun job tonight. It's going to be, it won't be too controversial. Last week, I was, just a fun judging note, if you guys want to hear my judging story for the week. So last week I was in California at a conference. It's a group I used to be president of. It's a leadership group in academia and with also corporate America. We bring in the heads of recruiting, national recruiting for KPMG, PwC, EY, Deloitte, all different types. And Grant Thornton, and every year one of the CEOs, the head person for the organizations gets to speak. They have to wait 5 years for their term because we rotate through the 5 CEOs. This year, the CEO of PwC was supposed to speak, and he was all ready to give his opening keynote session, and we were informed he could not come. And the reason that he could not come to the event, because we were all out in California, is because he had to spend all day at the Academy Awards at the Oscars, because PwC is the firm that does the counts for the Academy Awards. And remember there was the little mix-up a couple of years ago? So in order to keep the client, the CEO had to spend like 3 days before the event and be with them the whole time to go through all of their processes to make sure that all of their, the way that their judges, the outcomes of the judging and the voting and all the things come together. And I guess there's judging and votes that come into play. But I know we won't have any controversy with our judges here tonight. But I thought that was kind of funny. Well, it's funny, but it was interesting how, it looks like something that's a pretty simple task, putting things together. Anytime you do a contest, anytime you have an award celebration, you have things happening. But it was fun to hear how serious they took all of this. And I know that our judges tonight were really excited to be here. And I know that you take this very seriously and you really come here because, number one, they love to meet all of you. It's all about the students. And this is one of the most high-touch experiential programs that we have here on our campus. It fits in with the whole UMass Soul strategy, but it's also one of the key 5 strategic areas for the Manning School of Business, experiential learning. So everything you do that's hands-on, that's real-world related, you'll remember these things the rest of your life. These will be key events from your undergraduate experience and some of your graduate experience that you will always remember. So without the support of DCU, this wouldn't be happening. It's awesome that all that DCU does for us, and we're just really excited to kick off this contest. So I think we're ready to set the stage. We have 14 applications. There's 5 semifinalist teams. Each team member's already won $100. They have the opportunity to meet with Tomas. And also, we got some one-on-one feedback and some advice. That's priceless. That's what this is all about. And same with the judging and all of that. And one finalist team will win tonight, and each team member from the team will receive $500. Does that sound like a plan? Did we get through all the rules? You get 5 minutes to pitch, 5 minutes of Q&A, and there's a 5-minute buffer per team. And I think we have somebody doing the transfers. So everybody, the most important job of the judges is smile and make the students feel really comfortable so they're not nervous, right? And look at how happy and friendly you all are. So I know they're going to feel that way. So thank you very much. And so we'll go ahead and get started with the first team. And the first team is Big Flexers, right? Okay. And we have Eamon Beg, Danny Nguyen, Paris Wakar, Abhinav Kura, and Falsi Sowarwardi. So welcome. We'll give you guys some time.
My name is Abhi.
I'm Eamon.
I'm Fazal.
I'm Harris.
And our project is the hex card.
What's up, man? Looking at borrow your credit card for trip to Duncan's. Oh, you my credit card? Yep. Yo, can't hide my credit card. Did you see it anywhere? No.
I think call DCU, they should be able to do that.
Oh, okay. Alright.
Well, how can I help you?
Oh yeah, I can't find my credit card anywhere. And I think I lost it, and I see some business fraud transactions, and I'm not the one doing that. What can you guys do about that?
Ooh, so what I can do is freeze your card and make sure you don't get another fraud transaction, but I can't do anything about the previous thing.
What do you mean you can't do anything with the previous transaction? It's like $300 worth of a simple transaction.
Sorry, sir, there's nothing we can do.
You can't do anything about these transactions.
Man, if only there was a more secure way to protect credit card fraud. Now this brings us to our topic called the hex card.
As you said, now we present the hex card. So I want to first start off with credit card fraud, which is the leading cause of identity theft. And as you can see on the graph, it shows credit card fraud has 13,000 reports over other frauds such as employment fraud, bank fraud, loan fraud, and all these different kinds of frauds. And what our mission is to increase security within credit cards and debit cards. And we would like to put it in your wallet, purses, phones, and wherever you can carry a hex card. So the way we're going to describe our business is have our goals and objectives would provide a reliable tool every day because everyone uses credit cards and having in their pocket at all times. And the way we're going to model our business is to market it throughout the country. So we're going to increase advertisement, such as commercials, and we're going to have social media. We're going to put on social media platforms such as Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, all those different types of platforms. And what we're trying to do is create affordable prices by using cheap material cost. And what we see in our project within 2 to 3 years is we're going to first develop the actual prototype and pitch it to multiple investors. And one factor we see as for success is we're going to use a cost and benefit analysis where the benefit will be greater than the cost. And we'd also like to organize and ask the assets and finances. One major risk we see would be the dangers of the cloud, which stores the information. But the thing about that is nowadays, cloud is increasing its security, which will help us out when we rely on it.
Now, to develop this product or service, we would put a Touch ID on the credit card itself, which would be connected to a cloud network, and which we would try to establish through a nano chip which would establish an LTE connection straight to the cloud network from the credit card itself. Now, with today's technology, this doesn't seem very impossible. Honestly, with these small additions, even though it would cause a low risk, it comes with a lot of high potential. And now, this is something that other banks will not provide. It is very special because especially the credit cards will be made out of recycled materials. And we will also offer family plans and perks, such as business deals that will help and be more appealing for consumers and customers. Now, for the market analysis, for the audience that we're trying to pursue is people of all ages who have bank accounts such as credit and that use credit cards and debit cards in their daily lives. And for DCU, this is around, the size of the market is around 800,000 people. And for the targeted market share in percentage within 2 years is around 9%. That's what we're trying to establish. And to achieve this market share, we would like to sell around $50 million of the market share of the project in 2 years.
So of course, there's new competition like there is in every area, but a lot of reasons why people might not choose us is because we're still a small startup, and there's going to be a lot of other big competitors like Bank of America, TD Bank, Wells Fargo, Citibank, or People's Bank, some other big banks in the country, just like that. But some other subtle competitors are that a lot of people might prefer using other methods like Apple Pay or the Apple credit card, just because they feel more secure with their own phone rather than somebody else's credit, rather than this new startup credit card. And to fund, it would be ideal to have about $5,000 to start out, and a lot of funding sources will come from our own pockets, which is about $2,000. Family and friends, they're looking to have around $2,000 from them as well, and possibly a small bank loan, including some small investments as well.
And this is our timeline. So first, we'd like to implement Touch ID technology, and
That's it, guys. That's the next part.
So is there any questions?
How come Hex card? Where's that Hex technology come in?
The main reason we need a X card is because like the main improvements we put in the card and that was say about 6 cards, so we decided to name a hex card. And some of these improvements are going to be how we added Touch ID, we use nanotechnology within it, and LTE technology, and the materials we use is going to be eco-friendly, and there's going to be cloud-based data services, which is also new, and then
Yeah, and we're also looking to include like family plans and promotions and business deals as well within the cloud database. So you know how the phone plans is like, you can add multiple family members. We're trying to do something similar to that as well, so you can get extra cash back.
Do you think you can develop the technology for that for $5,000?
No, I think that's just a rough estimate startup, but it'll cost a lot more than that. Let me start getting I think $5,000 is a good estimate to see where we can start heading.
Have you thought about just licensing the technology to the major card companies that already exist, like Apple Card, like Citi Card, like DCU?
I mean, we could do that, but it goes both ways, whether, depending on what the outcome is, whether we license it to a specific major card or if we can build it and make it bigger, even if we have to spend more than 5,000.
But it goes both ways.
And we could sell it.
What was that?
We could also sell the idea to the different companies that have established credit cards and debit cards as well.
Have you proven the technology, or have you done any prototyping of the technology?
Yes, we did work with a little bit of Arduino to establish, like, it was basically a prototype, not really molecular or something, but we tried to design it with an Arduino and fingerprint sensors to establish kind of a connection, because I have some, many of us guys have some past experience with this type of technology, so we did try a little bit. Well, that's where we kind of got an idea that's probably possible.
And the way with the Touch ID is now, like, since they're implementing Face ID, now the Touch ID is not being used in phones anymore, where we can like gather that material and put it through the card. for the security purposes we decided to do. So it should be much easier to get and cost-wise and much easier to implement because mainly all the technology is already out there on the internet and based off our past experiences of what we did on projects.
How does the network effect work for you?
The network effect, so it will be connected to your phone, such as you would like to create touch IDs, so it would be connected to your phone, so you can add the touch IDs or remove them, or you can also go to the bank to add touch IDs and they'll take care of everything.
Yeah, like a lot of it can be connected to an app, basically. You can, like, you can add touch IDs on an app for certain family members for this card, or you can add extra property or all the extra details that
Yeah, so that's like where the cloud information gets stored. Like if we get cloud database where we can store everybody's information, keep it secure, and implement all these new additions.
Well, I like to shop online, so how does the Touch ID work then if I want to use the card for?
So when we shop online, we had thought about that. When we shop online, when you input your information, you need either like a passcode, which is the same passcode used to even change your Touch ID or add Touch ID. That's one thing I forgot to add. So when you have to add a Touch ID, you can't just open the app. You have to go through another process of adding like a passcode, which is a simple passcode, but it's still big because not everyone is going to know your password.
Kind of like a two-factor authentication.
Yeah, like a phone.
Yeah, and sometimes they're using like your phone, like maybe you don't have your phone, you're trying to do it on a laptop or somebody else's phone. Like sometimes two-factor authentication can get like hard to do. So like now it's not just like a password yet.
Any other questions?
Did you give any thought of figuring out what the unit economics would be for this? How much would it cost to actually develop a card and issue that card to folks? What is that relative to the average cost and expense for the issuing institution or for the individual?
So the card, to make the card itself, isn't that expensive based on like the plastic usage and the Touch ID. But when we have to implement the LTE and buying a cloud database and signing contracts with these companies, that would be where we have to look in based on the contract up with the company what we can offer and what we can realize.
Yeah, I think we're out of time, so thank you, great questions, judges.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Oliver Jennings, and we are here to present our idea, Cash Forward. Our main mission is we want to help provide a simple way for people to help fund their retirement accounts. How we're going to do this is we're going to give people the option to take their cash back rewards, and rather than taking it as a cash payment, they can put that towards their Roth IRA or something like that. We would do this by partnering with a financial institution, which will give us access to that infrastructure, so it would make for an easy transition. In addition, for those who don't feel comfortable managing their own Roth IRA, we could have access to their mutual funds and other financial systems like that, so they could put it through there. Finally, what I think is most important is that this is also going to give people an avenue so that once they get that promotion, get a raise, or become more serious about saving for retirement, they have a relationship with a financial institution so that they can go and further that and put their investments there. Our avenues to profit is we're going to have a small expense ratio on any of the mutual funds or anything like that. By using this platform, they'll allow us to expand the balance sheet of the financial institution, so they'll be able to engage in other profit-generating activities. And it will also allow them later to sell other financial products, such as a 527C called savings plan, to say if someone wants to start saving for their children's college. The only major risk that we have is a loss of capital, and that will only be seen in the mutual funds or other investors from the bank, but hopefully them being professionals, that won't be an issue.
All right, so we did a market analysis on our customer base, and we were targeting individuals that are between the age of 20 and 30, because those individuals have a long time to invest. And we did some calculations, and by the time these individuals reach retirement, they should have at least $100,000 in their cash flow account. And this account is primarily made of money generated by cash forward and compound growth. And we also did a market analysis on our competitors, and we couldn't really find a company that offered the cash forward idea. They all do cash back, so they don't really offer our idea. And some institutions that offer cash back, you all know it's Chase. You got Chase, Charles Schwab. All these financial firms. And we also did a market analysis on the market size, and we concluded that cash is becoming obsolete. I myself don't carry cash with me. I carry my credit card, my debit card, my Apple Pay, and we've seen a reasonable growth in credit card use and debit card use, which brings me to the next slide. And as you can see here, debit card market share is growing, and also credit card market share is growing. And check is actually declining, and cash is also declining. It's not in this chart, but cash is also declining. And this brings us to the next slide.
So we have a pretty aggressive timeline. The reason for this is when you're saving for something like retirement, the sooner you can start, the longer time you have for that compounding interest. So ideally, we would be able to partner with some sort of financial institution within about a month or so. This will give us access to their legal teams and their infrastructure. From there, we want to integrate it into existing systems. Again, this is aggressive. We're going to want to give about 3 months for that. This will make sure that people can take their cashback rewards and with a click of a button, just send it directly to their Roth IRA or other retirement account like that. Then from there, we want about a 2-month ad marketing campaign, beta testing, just making sure it works very well with a very high fidelity and to make sure we have a good amount of customer satisfaction. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. We're both here.
And then as we do the judges' questions too, just be sure that you speak in the mic so that for each question you answer, so that it's captured. And we'll go ahead and start the 5 minutes now.
Perfect.
So how do you, will this be through an app, or how will you really be selling it? You have to partner with another institution who's got a credit card. So what's the product that you'll be providing? You certainly came up with a really interesting and compelling idea that hits a real need that I think sort of students want and isn't out there in the marketplace. How are you able to sort of package that up as an offering?
So I know at least with my own personal credit card, when I go into my rewards section of the app, it has an option where I can get it as an Amazon, as like send it to my Amazon account, or get it as a credit to the account, or cash into a separate account. So we would just add it on to an option like that, and once you click on that option, if you don't already have it set up, it'll send you to the website of the place where you could sign up and start signing up for your Roth IRA and set up your retirement account if you need to. And if you don't, you can just send the cash straight there.
Have you thought about doing any market studies for this? So one of the things that can work really well, especially if you've got consumers, is to, and that you're in school now, is that poll your fellow students. And so that way when you're talking to an investor or you're trying to recruit people and say, hey, we have this evidence of some market studies, and a lot of our fellow peers would choose to use this offering versus a traditional card offering, that data can be influential. So I thought that the value prop you guys spelled out was pretty clear. Having a little bit more information like that really drives the nail down from a presentation.
One of the things that we want to bring up to add customer value is, for example, if you were to use a regular cashback credit card, we get maybe, in our example, we get about 1% back. We would want to slightly raise that up to get about 1.15%. And when I had asked other students about that, they were interested in increasing that value just a little bit.
So, again, to echo your point, I think you got a great idea. I think people would buy into that. They would like to be able to swipe. I'd love to see the chart that shows that you get 100 grand based on the average amount people get and the average percentage. But I don't really see how you make money. And that's, maybe you mentioned that, if you can touch on that, like, are you getting a slice of the total money under that's being managed? How are you making money on this business?
So with the, firstly, if they invest through one of the mutual funds that we would give the option to, there would be a small expense fee on that. In addition, just by having cash inflows into the bank, it would expand their balance sheet. So if they wanted to do things such as asset lending or other ways the bank makes money, they have the opportunity to do that. Sorry if that doesn't completely answer your question, though.
I think I have to expand on that. How would you personally, as the owners of this company and idea, get compensated?
Us personally, we would want to sell off the idea and maybe join the people developing it at the business that we partner with. Because for us to go out and create a financial, like a credit card company, would be a lot of work, and that would push our profits way down the line.
So one of the things that I think you guys did a great job of outlining the macros too, with sort of people shifting towards credit cards. What I think would have been an interesting piece of the presentation to add is how saving at 1% of purchases can add up to an individual. So if you start when you're 18 years old, you can probably make some estimates about how much the average 18 to 30-year-old spends per year, and then that 2% cash back, if that compounds, where they're at. And at the end of that, say, 12-year period, when you're 30 years old, has that been enough to put a deposit down on a house, for example? And can you, by doing this, sell the dream of getting a home earlier in your life, or something like that? And then it's, I think that can really motivate people on top of the just idea of investing early.
I think we're at 5 minutes, so we'll get it up.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for coming out here. I'm Justin Lee. I'm Elijah Lee. I'm Chris Noel. We are CJZ Analysis. So more than half of startup businesses fail within the first 5 years. So at CJZ Analytics, we're looking to reduce this again. We're going to do so by offering the analytical tools to help their businesses prosper and extend their business life.
So our mission here at CJZ is again to continue with that life that we want these businesses to be able to get through. So within the first 2 to 3 years, what we want to do is we want to have about 25,000 businesses that are going to be using our service, and we want to have that spread over 10 financial institutions, because we're going to do this as a business-to-business product where we have them label the product.
So the goal at CJZ is we want to be able to help simplify the accounting processes, because we do understand how tedious it is to look through countless pages of balance sheets, cash flow statements, receipts, documents. So we want to be able to place everything on one spot to make it easier to access and to keep track of their finances. So at the moment, we are distributing CJZ through a white label strategy. So what that means is that we'll be looking for partnerships with different banks, like DCU, Bank of America, so that way we'll be able to gain recognition quicker and faster and get the word out on the products. And with regards to pricing, we are charging a licensing fee based on per user of our software. So as you can see with the growth, since it is a financial analytics tool, we do want to get started in the banking industry first, and then from there we'll be able to expand to different industry aspects. And it is focused on speed and precision, so we want to, like I said, make it as efficient, easy, quick to put all the numbers, accountants, finances, anything they need, all in one place. And last but not least, potential market risk. With this, we did a little research, and there are competitors out there who offer similar services right now. However, I believe our smart learning, our technology, and algorithms will be able to gain successfully gain market shares.
Alright, so for our product, we're looking to make a simple but effective way for small business or startup businesses and entrepreneurs to view their data analytics. So one section we have are suggestions. So we would have suggestions, so it would be ideal product costs, ways to reduce expenses, possible reorder points or reorder quantities. And then on the other hand, we have more analytics. So we have things like forecasting growth, identifying trends within your business and within the market, and then also looking at the customer segmentation, where they're spending the most money within your business. As for smart learning, as we talked about before, we're looking to make an algorithm that learns from its failures and successes. So let's say the system will look at all the recommendations that we give, it'll determine the outcome of those, and then it'll take notes on that so that it can better provide better recommendations for the future users.
So in regards to the marketing, because we're going to be targeting startups, one of the biggest things that we have is that there's going to be 627,000 new businesses starting up every year. So we're constantly going to have an influx of new customers that we can potentially target. Now, the biggest problem that we have with this market group and what we're trying to address is the fact that 51% of businesses fail after those first 5 years, and that's a number that we want to decrease. One number we can't decrease, however, is how many of these businesses are going to be taking out loans to finance their dreams, and that's at about 34%. What we want to do by white labeling our products is we want to be able to get it out to the consumer directly through a larger company that already has a better established market name and brand. And the thing is, we want it to be a free service, and that's something that we'll have to work in conjunction with the institutions, so that way it entices these consumers to use it to help them manage their financial stability and let them to focus on their business operations. In regards with our competition, Fathom and Quincy, sorry, it's a hard name, are going to be our largest competitors. They have similar products, however, but what they lack is that we have the smart learning technology, and that's what separates us from them. Another company that we would have to watch out for is Oracle, just because of how much disposable income that they have. They could easily jump into a market of this kind and easily dominate it.
So for funding, we're looking to acquire $800,000 for the first year. We're going to get these funds from small business loans, venture capitalists, angel investors, and also nonprofit foundations. And we're going to use that money to hire a team of 5 developers. As Z said, we're going to try to get this out quick, but we want to be quality too. We're going to have data analysts. We're going to need money for office space, travel, and other technological expenses, and then also money for big data sourcing.
So as you can see, it's a quick glimpse of the future of CJZ. So starting at Q1 of 2020, as with any business, the most important part is being able to get the finance to get started. And after that, once we get the fundings, we'll be able to hire developers, build the software, the technical sides, basically the core and foundation of our software. And then by Q2 of 2021, hopefully at this point, we'll be able to produce a functional prototype. So with the prototype, we'll be able to test out different bugs, glitches, errors, anything that might go wrong. And it'll also be a good opportunity to test out our smart learning. So we'll be feeding different data to it and see how it adapts based on the data that we feed it. And last but not least, hopefully by Q of 2021, CJZ goes public for market, and then we'll begin selling our licenses. And to sum it up, CJZ is not just a number crunching tool. We want our users to be able to utilize and reduce its business failure rates. And connecting back to the banking industry, with this, it is beneficial for both parties due to the fact that if a business prosper, makes profit, and have money, then they'll be able to pay back their loans and not default. Thank you.
So yeah, this is, I use some of these products you mentioned up there. This is my business that customers of Fathom and Vinci, for instance. How do you get your data? Is for instance, those guys linked to QuickBooks or other general ledgers? Are you building those types of links, or how do you anticipate getting the data to the analytics?
Do you mean so one thing you could do is look at the QuickBooks of the businesses. You could also look at the point of sale, and then obviously the financial statements, and then any other receipts that they have.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I think what you should be looking at is sort of a direct integration with any of the GLs. If you're talking Oracle, it would be NetSuite. The principal GL in the United States is QuickBooks, so I think that would be the best. That's where the statements are all generated. It's definitely a big market. I think I question where you got the funding sources. You have the largest source of funds coming from personal loans. And I'm sitting next to a couple of bankers here, but I know generally in the startup world, that would be the smallest piece of funding that you're getting, and you would generally be required to, get venture funding or friends and family funding. But I don't know if many banks that will put $400,000 into a startup. Did you guys do some research on that part of it?
We were doing research into most of the funding. We were just trying to determine how much we thought we could eventually get from some of these other investors. And as we were trying to figure out, we were going through our cost of trying to bring about a team together because we cannot do the programming ourselves. We're all business leaders, we lack those capabilities. So we figured out that we probably need to potentially take a risk on ourselves and try to get investors as much as we possibly could, but through our own means.
And you have a premium sales model, you want the customers won't be paying for your product?
That is correct. What we want to do and what we're hoping to accomplish is to encourage these small startup businesses to use this product through the white labeling. So it would be marketed, like for example, if this was DCU would market this product as if it was one of their own via the licensing and how we would go about that from there is that it would then be free to use so they can upload all of their information into it so that it will then read and analyze and continue to progress and
who pays you, the bank?
The bank would pay us because of the licensing fee, yes. The point of it, I'm sorry, I was something to get across, is that we want this to be a free service because startups already have so many expenses to begin with that we want them to be able to use this that it helps reduce their burden of potential default.
Just one comment, if you look at some of the biggest SaaS service providers, I think you want to have a freemium model and then have other services that you can add on to it because you need to get the revenue per user, per client to build a model that the investors will be interested in. If it's just a freemium model, I think you're going to fall flat on your revenues.
So one thing I want to highlight is because while you guys are on, you hit a lot of macro sectors right now and trends that are very hot and very relevant. So data and analytics is sort of where it's at. Using that smartly and combining it with intelligent workflow automation and thinking about machine learning and how the platform can use machine learning are all critical things for any startup. I tell our folks, no matter what you do, you have to have an answer for how you will use machine learning, right? Or why you're not, right? And that has to be a very smart answer. So I think while you did a great job on that, the biggest challenge for machine learning and analytics is data sets. So you need a ton of data sets to be able to train the models, right, before you get the output that you're really talking about, right? Those things are traditionally hard to get, so you've got to take these baby steps to be able to build a value prop for your product until you get the scale of data to be able to have that in mind. So, thinking about, again, what can I do right out of the gate to make it enticing for that freemium person to use your software or some of the go-to-market questions.
So,
Actually, we're out of time, but go ahead, just, time's up, but go ahead and answer that.
what I was just going to say is part of our funding that was listed is that we were looking into buying big data. So what we were hoping to accomplish is that we were going to put that big data through an algorithm so that it could start to go through the successes and failures and analyze these things of this nature so that then when it would then go to market initially, it would already be at least some way useful because it's going to continually learn as you input your own information to tailor it specifically for your own business. And that's the whole purpose of we wanted to buy the big data was to get the data sets like you were speaking of so that we can then make this a viable product.
Great, we have time, thank you.
Hello. All right, so we are FAM, Financial Action Management. My name is Louis Germano. I'm the founder and CEO. We've been around for about 2 years. We incorporated last summer in the state of Massachusetts. So let's get into this. So this is Finny, the financial dinosaur. A little childish, we get that, we know. But so similar to Duolingo, how they have the owl for learning about languages, we have the dinosaur for bringing to the platform, user experience. So FAM is a new type of financial management, and we're different because we work with human tendencies, and we do that to really make an encompassing product that will draw that user in, and not just be a valuable base of knowledge and management. The principles are social media integration and streak and goal-driven UI, so the user interface and user experience. And then we have the supportive and easy-to-use features, making the whole UI intuitive. And I'm not just saying that, it's design ready. So FAM exists to help this current generation. And we have problems with not being able to retire. We already need $1 million, we'll need $10 million when I go to retire. And we want to get off paycheck to paycheck and be able to invest. And I myself find it hard as a finance student to do that, so I understand the troubles of other people in my generation. So our 3-year projections are 15 million users and $150,000 on our financial referral program, and I'll get into that in the next slide. So revenue model. So school licensing, we'll have a school licensed color an ambassador program for each university, and that's basic initial income just to keep us alive after the first round of funding, and then strategic partnerships, and that gets us in with companies like DCU, TD Ameritrade, and TD Bank, and that allows us to be the bridge for them to get stocks and bonds and get into investment products that will help them in the future. And we have 7-year projections at $25 million right now. And I have the income, I didn't put the income statement, I have the financials for all that, for questions on that. So cool, 40 million users by 2025. And that's, it sounds high, but it's in line with our social media aspects and how we draw users in. Critical factors, so the team, I myself, the rest of us have to be able to pivot and listen to market feedback and what people have to say to actually design a better product and an encompassing product that people want to use. And the major risks would be running out of capital before that process is over of pivoting and going back to market with a new and improved product. So this is the app that we have designed now. This is version 2, it's been through a few iterations. So our basic budgeting aspects are a 70-30 plan, which has been around for a while, and Warren Buffett and a lot of other famous financial figures have promoted this plan throughout the years. It's essentially 70% on life essentials and 30% on aspects like saving and donation and investing. And that's what we're calling change agents. And that's fully adjustable from 0 to 100 to 100 to 0. And then to your left, you see the budgeting, the actual drawn-out version of the budgeting, and above that you have subscription management, and that gets into things like Hulu and Netflix, and where you can maybe cut back, just so you know what your monthly expenditures are. And then to the right, you have all your transactions, which is linked out through APIs from Link All Accounts over at Uber. I'm good friends with one of the VPs there. So utilizing human behavior. So this is what makes us dramatically different than what's out there now. And this actually pulls in the customer instead of the customer really having to feel like they're getting out of bed or going to the gym every time they open the app. So that's our newsfeed, where you can share when you've reached streaks. So let's say you log on for 10 days straight, or you set goals that you've hit. The goals will never be shown. We're not going to allow you to just gloat about what you've invested. If it's $100 or if it's $100,000, it still matters because it's more than nothing in our eyes. And then in the center, we have our XP done in these egg formats, and you help patch the dyno, which you go through the first few weeks of onboarding. So we get through this quick because I have 1 minute. So we're looking for users that are relying on social media that would rather a digital calendar instead of a handwritten one, and we think that's about 76 million, 18 to 34s according to the census. So competition, we're competing for the 85% of the market that currently doesn't use financial management products and services, and we got those analytics a year ago in the DifferenceMaker campus will have one. So funding, I've invested $5,500 of my own money in the last 2 years. We're currently trying to raise $200,000 at a $2 million valuation with venture and angel groups in Boston, and then future funding rounds after that. This took me a while to design, but so I don't want to go over time here, but I'll let it run out. So we designed version 2 as of July of last summer, and we need $200,000 to get to market. And this might be a small chunk of that, but we go quick. And then we get through the 200,000 and we'll hit the 5 million round after that. All right. Questions?
So you mentioned the 85% of the folks that aren't using budgeting tools, but there's a lot of budgeting tools, mobile, and based into other financial experiences. So how does your app and your business strategy look at those alternative solutions?
Yeah, so that's where our human tendencies come in. And we found that the biggest problem after we developed and beta tested version 1 a year and a half ago was that it wasn't that the products weren't good that were out there is that people just didn't want to use them. You know, it was kind of boring and it was a drag. You really had to like work on it and build habits. And we're matching up an onboarding process that is long enough to build the human tendencies and neural pathways in your brain, matched up with the social media aspects. So you get that dopamine hit that people talk about. The negative aspects of Facebook are your positive aspects of investing.
So like Waze versus Google Maps.
Exactly, yes. Or Rosetta Stone versus Duolingo, or MyFitnessPal.
Do you sell the app? Is that how you make money?
The app is free, so our revenues come from school licensing. For now, it would be school licensing, and then the financial partnerships to get people actually out there. And I've talked to like the World Financial Program, I had a few meetings with them, and they're willing to work with me when I get it together. And they're saying that financial referrals could be up to like $500 per user.
So the school licensing would be, for example, UMass Lowell would pay for branding, is that what you're
Yeah, we actually get us here. So here's the colors look weird on the PowerPoint. But so custom UI, UX, ambassador programs, online forums, materials that professors can talk about in class, to just get maybe even non-finance users, the non-finance majors interested in the subject in investing.
So I think generally speaking, especially the bigger schools, you've got to pay license, in sort of images, likeness, those kinds of things, or you're prohibited from doing it. So the pathway of providing financial education is interesting, right? So I think that's something to explore as well.
Definitely, I appreciate the feedback.
So have you thought about what it's going to cost you on a per user basis?
So per user, I don't have the numbers up, but development is about $50,000. I should have some more here. Get a bunch of question slides because we've been around for a while. Maybe going too far. Okay, don't have finances in this version. But so I don't have it per users, but I have development costs of about $50,000, and then we have we have a spreadsheet showing where the whole 200 is spent to get us to market.
So did you consider actually selling it as an app, like in the app stores?
We have, but I think that removes some of the, so a lot of our developers have brought up, do we just do ads to get initial revenue? And I think that pulls away from what the product is too much. And, finance is a serious thing. As much as we're trying to make it fun, there shouldn't be an advertisement for another product or another financial product or some video game that is distracting to the user. And we want to keep ads out of it. And a lot of people that are investing think they can't afford it. So we think even having something as small as a 99-cent or a $10 app might be a barrier that we're putting up, which should otherwise not be there if we had another revenue model.
Yeah, I think the key here is entirely customer acquisition costs. So the space is highly competitive, and costs, as you scale, costs start to revert to the norm, which are pretty substantial. So, if you truly can hack it through the educational component or something, that is key. Even if it's not going to what you're thinking about, Acorns, for example, they had to face this similar question of, do we charge a fee or not for that service? And if you listen to the venture capitalists there, they turned around the entire business by charging that subscription fee because it enabled them to have the revenue to acquire customers.
Sure, so we've investigated that, and another option if we did charge a subscription fee is that we can have an invite program, so maybe you invite 5 of your classmates or 5 of your friends or family members and get a full year for free, or maybe even life if you're one of the early users.
Great. Just about every time here. Yep. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're SwiftTrack. I'm Hilaria. My name is Viana. And Jennifer's here in spirit, I guess. Alright, so the problem is that sometimes you forget how much money you have in your bank account. So you might be having a bad day and you just want to order some Uber Eats, and you also engage in some retail therapy. You might pre-order the new Nintendo Switch, and then you forgot that you have to pay your phone bill and it's on auto pay, so they take that money out of your account, and then you wake up the next day and you have overdraft fees. So you're probably gonna starve for dinner tonight. So yeah.
So our solution is with SwiftTrack. So SwiftTrack will analyze your spending and will let you know when your account dipped to the negatives. And that's when SwiftTrack will quickly swoop into your way and save your day with a temporary loan. And this temporary loan is actually a small percentage from your next paycheck, and it will automatically be deducted once the fund is in your account again. So aside from avoiding having overdraft fees in your account and going broke, SwiftTrack will also help you with budgets, weekly budgets, so that you have a better planning with your money. And it also frees your account and help you resist temptations from spending your money. And it will also automatically set a small percentage of your money into your savings account, so that you would automatically save every paycheck. So to start with SwiftTrack, you would first have to verify your employment status with 3 streams of income into your account, and then you will have access to SwiftTrack's features. And for the long run, we would like our users to have a financial stability and have it develop with the habit of spending.
Alright, so some more about the service is that, well, the way we're going to profit is that we were planning on making this like perhaps a DCU integrated app. So obviously like banks, credit unions, and whatnot, you profit off of savings accounts. So the more that people are saving, that means it'll benefit the credit unions or the banks. So other options are like promotional opportunities with companies that want to advertise on the platform, like special offers, like say Walmart wants more customers, so there will be a promotion like, oh, spend at least $10 at Walmart and you'll get 5% back that is automatically integrated into your savings account. So other opportunities is to expand the app further to get like non-DCU related customers. So some benefits to DCU is that obviously it's going to increase the customer loyalty, you're going to look good to the community because many financial institutions are viewed as predatory when there's like overdraft fees, and like it just doesn't look good. So this will show that you care about like your customers and you don't want them to like lose their money, and to develop a sense of financial stability. They'll attract new customers. Some obstacles are download resistance, like people don't like using apps, mostly the older generation. So you have to work with them on that and present the benefits to them. And on production cost. The goals are that you provide emergency funds to people so they don't overdraft. But it's limited to 3 uses a year since we do want people to develop financial stability, so they'll save money and they won't find the need to use this. So, market analysis. Now, obviously we aim to service the customers of DCU, specifically those that need a little bit of extra help saving money. It's reported that 78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, so if something goes wrong, it's pretty costly to recover. So global personal finance software market, it garnered $837 million in 2017, and it's estimated to reach $1.2 billion by 2023. So according to some 2018 statistics, credit unions have a 9% share in the banking industry market, which is as big as $124 trillion. And if DCU were to integrate this into their app, they'll be a greater part of the banking industry share. So the competition is obviously pay advance and financial stability apps that already exist. And we'd like to learn from them and replicate their success in a way. So times like Up, but there's Dave, Cleo, and cost and funding wouldn't be too costly since DCU already has like an app development team, so it won't be too expensive to integrate this into it. And then this timeline's a bit off since this has been delayed twice, so the dates aren't quite accurate. But yeah, sources. Thank you.
start the questions, just be sure and talking to the mic for each question you answer.
How is this different from overdraft protection that DCU already offers to all of their customers?
It's different because it's like you're working with sort of like a financial coaching aspect is integrated into the app with the automatic savings and helping you budget. So it's like showing you care a bit more by trying to help them get on track to financial stability.
You know, just to comment, I think it's a great idea, and I almost think it's an independent idea, not one to be licensed, because I think banks already have overdraft protection, but I think young people need that protection, and I think that's how you make your money. I wouldn't limit it to 3 times a year. I think as long as they're going up and down and they're paying it off on a regular basis, I think you're using analytics to determine if they're a good loan, and you're making micro loans, and I think that would be an incredibly profitable business for you to be in, because you would be making margin on every loan that you give, even if they're small loans. This could add up to a very large amount of money. If the banks already have it, I think it would be, you would just link it to their bank app, so grab the transactions and analyze it and make the loans.
So interesting. Well done on properly identifying the major competitors there. You know, I think there's a couple of things that could have taken a good presentation, very good presentation, and made it look even better. So, and it depends on who you're pitching to. From a macro perspective, the Fed came out and said there's a $400 problem in the United States, where half the people roughly don't even have $400 in their savings account. And an average car repair at $700 or $800 puts them in jeopardy. That's the type of crowd that we're talking about. So you can use these published case studies, use an example of how a worker who's making $18,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year runs into this problem 3, 4, 5 times, plus per year for various expenses, and how that would work out from a business model perspective and revenue for your product per person per year. And it would just, I think, really make it nice and tight. The other thing that we talked about earlier was data and analytics, right? And so if you can think about some aspect of how you can use information that you're acquiring from your application or otherwise to make better, more informed lending decisions than the bank or lending institution could, that's another way to add value and then make more money for the company. So what's in your background that made you come to this and be able to build a company?
Well, personally, from my background, I have a friend that recently got into like some trouble with her bank because of the overdraft fees, and she acquired I think 300 or 400 in overdraft fees, and yeah, she was pretty miserable during that time. Yeah. I feel yeah, and the bank didn't really care about her. They were like, well, it's not our problem, and that just doesn't look good. They lost a customer with her, because she's definitely not going back there. Yeah, so I feel like if banks, credit unions implemented something like this that shows that they really care about the community, that will show they're very corporately, so it's socially responsible,
Thank you.
Everybody, we're going to reconvene, and Holly's going to announce the winner. So everybody will reconvene and wrap it up. So Let's give a big round of applause to Holly Butler for all she does for us all the time. AC put this program together and she'll announce the winner.
All right, good evening, everyone. All the teams did a fabulous job. So you're all winners tonight because each of you get a $100 gift card from DCU, which is very generous. The winner, each team member will get $500. And don't forget that if you do want to pursue your idea, apply to DifferenceMaker. The application closes tomorrow. And that will open up a bunch of other opportunities, a bunch of other resources, as well as $50,000 in funding. So first, I'd like to thank all of our judges here this evening. We couldn't have done it without you all, as well as Tomas and Jim Regan from DCU. And we just have some thank you gift bags, some UMass swag, and maybe some little business swag. So thank you all for being here this evening. All right, so with that, the drum roll. And the winner of this evening's innovation contest is Cash Forward. Yeah. So, Oliver Jennings and Pedro Pugh, I believe is how it's pronounced. Yes, absolutely. You can come out and get some photos. So thank you all for being here this evening. We are going to grab a group photo of all of the teams. So if you could come up here, and then we're also going to grab the judges. And then Jim, and then Tomas too. We're going to take a big group photo. So again, thank you all for being here this evening.
And I have to hand out the prizes, so don't leave.
Yes, don't leave without your prizes.
So take the picture first to make sure that you count the picture.
There you go.
All right, so.